theory, man. Your showdown, just so good.
Yeah.
He wrote that great book about the case for
What's that other noise there?
murder for George W. Bush.
Okay,
Yep.
beautiful. Okay, we're ready to roll, guys.
And he said he'd come in
Thank
and
you guys
prosecute.
so much.
All he needed was the right district attorney to bring the charges. If somebody died in their district, that's murder. Yep.
All right, just
Here
let
we
me
go.
know. Are we rolling? All right, beautiful. Well, here we are for another exciting interview on Jackman Radio. I am so honored to be joined today by just, it's hard to even put into words. I call him Jesse the Statesman now, former governor of Minnesota, Navy SEAL, mayor, wrestler, actor. He's done it all, Renaissance man, Governor Jesse Ventura. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today,
Great
man.
to be here. I guess the biggest part of that description is it shows I can't hold a job for over 4 years.
No, you got to move on.
I got to
You
move on
and go to the
And
next
you know
thing.
who was like that? And I've read about 3 books on him, Che Guevara.
Yeah.
Che Guevara had wanderlust too.
Oh,
That's
Motorcycle
why he
Diaries.
Yeah, that well, and not just that, but that's why he didn't stay in Cuba after the revolution.
Yeah, he had
Went
other things
to
to do.
Africa. Yeah, he had wanderlust. There was other things he wanted to accomplish, and when I read about Che, I see a lot of myself in him.
A revolutionary,
Yeah.
fearless,
Yeah.
bold. Well, awesome.
Yep.
You've been
and belief to stand up for what you believe in, regardless of the results.
Absolutely. And speaking about what you believe in, you've been out in the front about marijuana legalization. When you were a governor
Yep.
in the 90s, you talked about
Yep.
the need to legalize marijuana.
Yep.
And that was a ballsy thing to do. Not a lot of people were doing that. I think maybe you and Gary Johnson were really the 2 only governors at the time, the highest ranking U.S. officials to call for that.
Yep.
You got a new book out called Jesse Ventura's Marijuana Manifesto. Tell me about that.
Well, it's a book really about marijuana, and people need to read the truth and the history of marijuana, not reefer madness, and not the rest of this, for lack of better term, BS. First of all, let me make this statement, and this should resonate. If George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were alive today, the DEA would bust them and put them in prison, because both our president, our first president, and our third president grew and sold marijuana. That today would be a drug dealer.
Yeah.
So that there should tell people, wait a minute, let's take pause here. The father of our country and Tom Jefferson would be in prison today over a plant. And people need to realize for 160 years, marijuana was the economic backbone of this great country. England, during the colonial period, forced the colonists to grow it because they needed it for their powerful navy. They needed rope, they needed sails, they needed everything that marijuana could provide. And then all of a sudden in the 30s, you had William Randolph Hearst, the big newspaper guy that owned 26 newspapers, went on a vendetta, a racist vendetta, tying marijuana to those dangerous, crazy black people.
Yeah.
They smoke it, it's the devil's weed, it's this and that. Well, his ultimate motive, he then paid off the politicians in Washington to get it banned because he owned thousands of acres of timberland, and he didn't want the competition of marijuana hemp in paper. He forced the country to buy his trees rather than a renewable resource that'll grow back 15 feet high every year, marijuana.
Right.
And my personal reason for writing this book is because I personally now, when you get my age at 65, you got to limit your focus now more so, because you're getting older in what you want to accomplish. You can't just throw it on the wall anymore and see what sticks. I want in my lifetime to see marijuana fully legalized, and it's personal. It's a personal war for me now, because someone very close to me, and I respect privacy, so I won't say who, but marijuana has given me back my life, because this person close to me developed epileptic seizure disorder and was seizing 4 to 5 times a week. I was dealing with this on an everyday basis. My life was changed. The person went on 4 separate pharmaceutical seizure medicines. None of them worked. They all had horrible side effects. Finally went to Colorado at the time, got medical marijuana drops under the tongue first. Doesn't even make you high.
Right.
Drops under the tongue first, Now it's legal in Minnesota in pill form. So this person can take a pill twice a day for 2.5 years now, seizure free. Not one seizure is completely off the pharmaceutical medicine completely. So marijuana cured this epileptic seizure disorder and gave me back my life.
Wow.
And that's why now I want to give back. And there's other people out there suffering. There's other people out there that need this. To read Steve Cubby, who wrote my intro. This is a guy that had adrenal cancer, uncurable. He was given 5 years to live. He's alive today, 35 years later, from cannabis marijuana that has shrunk the cancer and give him life. And yet it's against the law.
Well, of course it is. I mean,
It's against the law.
big pharma-controlled media, they're all in bed together.
Exactly.
And not only the therapeutic
Well,
qualities
as
of
Tommy
marijuana.
Chong says, there should be no distinction.
Right, it's all
Because
medicine.
yes, because the people who smoke it for the euphoric feeling is mental health.
Yeah,
And I would rather smoke pot than take Prozac.
absolutely.
You know, if you need it to get, hey, this world's tough. If at nighttime you want to go home at night, people have a glass of wine before dinner, they have a martini, whatever. Why shouldn't you be allowed to smoke marijuana before you eat your evening meal, watch TV, and I guarantee you'll sleep well.
Yeah.
You know?
Well-
and on that, it makes people happy. What's wrong with happiness?
Happiness
Why do
is
they
nice.
ban happiness in the world? Oh, there's something you use and makes you laugh, and you know, it's like Gumbel did a big piece on HBO that you should watch it, covering tailgating at Denver Stadium now.
Legitimately mile high.
Yeah,
pun
legitimately
intended.
mile high now. They got a dispensary right across the lot.
Awesome.
Now, they went to the tailgaters. They said, what's it like now? They said, it's beautiful. They said, we used to get here at 8:30. Everybody'd start drinking. By game time, there'd be fights.
Yeah.
There'd be people throwing up on themselves. They showed in the stands at that time where fights would break out, all this stuff. They said, now we come here, we smoke pot at 11, we eat our barbecue at noon, we watch a game, and it's amazing. And in the dispensary, they went in there and they said, well, who comes in here? They said, amazingly, not the Coloradoans. They got theirs.
Yeah.
We get all the visitors.
Right.
People who come to Mile High to watch the game. And right there, a guy from the Baltimore Ravens, all decked out, came walking in to get it. And then they went in the end of the piece. Not on camera, but they went to Peyton Manning. Now, there's not a more pure athlete on the planet than Peyton. I know his father, Archie, and believe me, the acorn didn't fall far from the tree, because Archie's a tremendous person, and I've never met Eli, but I just assume he's going to be like Peyton. They asked Peyton about it, and he had the most perfect political correct answer I've ever heard. Now, you got to know, Peyton is part owner to 19 Papa John franchise pizzas in Colorado stores. Here's what Peyton said. In light of certain recent changes in the law, he said, my pizza stores are doing fantastic.
Nice.
I thought, what a great answer.
Well-
He didn't even say it by name. He just said, in light of certain recent
Nice
changes
subtle
in the
drop.
law.
And that segues into the next part of it, the economic boom. I mean, look at Colorado, man, the green tourism going on out there. We could have that in all 50 states here in America, and it would just generate incredible revenues, create jobs, amazing things.
Yeah, it's an industry waiting to happen in an economy that's stagnant. Washington State, you know what their first windfall thing was? Statewide, their judicial budget, and I can tell you as a governor, the judicial budget's huge. Statewide, it fell 15% the first year. You're talking multi-millions of dollars of your tax dollars that you won't be taxed for anymore.
Right.
And why? 15% of the money, and that's probably higher now, was used to prosecute pot.
Yeah.
Now they don't do it, and they've got this huge surplus of money.
It's the courts and the lawyers and the industry all around keeping it illegal and justifying budgets. And
People need to understand one thing. Whenever you're charged or arrested for anything, it costs the government money. So all a traffic arrest costs money, pot possession costs money, all of that costs government money, which is what? Your tax dollars. You have to pay more.
Yeah.
Now, I personally don't want to pay to incarcerate pot users.
No.
I don't
Doesn't
want
make
my
any
tax
sense.
dollars spent on that.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
At all. I
Totally
want to
stupid.
reap profits from that.
Yeah.
I want the
Put it back
industry
into the community.
from it. Yes.
Yeah.
Willie Nelson.
Oh yeah.
Now we all know Willie, but Willie puts his money where his mouth is. Every one of his tour buses runs on biodiesel fuel from marijuana.
Incredible. So does the songwriting.
So Willie ain't just smoking it, he's driving it. And
all
there ain't
factions
nothing
of it.
wrong with that. It's
So-
a renewable resource.
So overall, would you say in your professional life, the stigma around using marijuana is really starting to kind of become compatible, like you said, having a couple brews with your friends?
We're defeating it finally after a huge propaganda, and of course we still have to deal with the DEA. Because isn't it amazing, marijuana is the only thing that they allow a law enforcement agency to set policy on. What does the DEA know about science? Nothing.
Nothing. What do they know about anything?
Exactly. And yet they determine and call marijuana a class 1 substance like heroin where you can't study it. They determine what can be studied. Hillary Clinton comes out on the position and says, well, there's got to be more tests. No, there don't, Hillary. You've got a university in Israel right now, financed by us. There's a doctor over there, I forget his name. He is the guru, the expert. He's already stated that marijuana could help the concussion issues of pro football. It can help seizures. It can help, what else? The list is endless. I can't even off the top of my head remember everything he said that it could help. And it's a medicine. Why are we, and then for all the religious people out there, the people who go to church every Sunday and that, well, if you believe what you're taught in church, that means God made it.
Yeah, if you believe in God, He put it here
God
for a reason.
made marijuana, all you churchgoers. What right do we have as humans to destroy what God made?
Absolutely.
God put it, if you believe religion, everything was put here for a purpose. So marijuana was put here so we could eradicate it? That was God's design, to burn it? No. If there is a God and He did that, He put it here for us to use it.
Absolutely. Agree with you on that. So shifting gears, marijuana is a big issue, and obviously we have a great candidate for marijuana in Gary Johnson.
Gary Johnson.
Want to get your take on Gary. I know you endorsed in 2012. You guys were governors together at the same time.
Yep.
Both real independent thinkers outside the box,
Yep.
not afraid to mix it up. I worked for Gary in 2012. We're good friends. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
So
and they're trying to destroy
what do
him
you-
now over one
What is
question.
Aleppo? Give me
Yeah.
a frickin' break. I would rather have my
Exactly.
president not know where Aleppo is than bomb Aleppo.
Exactly.
You know?
And not only that, if I stood out and asked somebody, there's been bad things happening in Vung Tau. Who would know that? Now, if I said there's bad things happening in Vietnam, you would know that.
Right.
But they pick out a city. Why didn't they say Syria?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about the problem in Syria?
Well, it was Brzezinski who was in that, so it's stakes.
Well, that was a setup.
It was
and
a setup,
And the media
yeah.
pounces on Gary now and says he's not qualified to be president.
right.
Because he didn't know a city in Syria. Gary don't need to know it. He's going to pull us out.
Yeah, we
So
don't,
if
we don't
he
need
pulls
to be
us
there.
out, none of us need to know it, do we?
So what do you think his chances are of being in the debates at this point?
I hope they're good. I hope that he could. See, that's the one thing. If I would have ran, I would have shamed them into it.
Yeah.
You know how I did it? And I could do it. I would have shamed Trump and Hillary this way. I would have said, you two want to be the commander-in-chief of our military? Now, I'm an honorably discharged Navy veteran, something neither of you are.
Right.
And I would say, how could I respect you as a commander-in-chief if you haven't even got the courage to debate me?
Right.
You're a cowards. I would call them both cowards and call them out for not allowing me in the debates.
Absolutely.
And I think it would work on Trump.
He would probably
Because
go
I
for
know
it.
Donald well enough.
Well, absolutely. And then Gary Johnson is polling the highest among active military, and they didn't include him in that forum the other night.
Yes,
Completely
exactly.
outrageous.
Completely outrageous.
Horrible.
Not only that, he's not even getting the intelligent briefings.
No.
So how would he know about that city?
Right, exactly.
That they threw at him. If he was allowed at the intelligence briefings, probably would be much more aware of it. As president, he'll be at those briefings.
Absolutely.
You know?
So, I mean, you go back quite a ways with Trump. I know you guys have been buddies
Sure,
for a
not
while.
buddies.
Well, you know of
We're
each other.
associates. I consider, I have nothing against Donald. I like him. In fact,
So-
the last time that I recall we were together, maybe, it was me, him, and Woody Harrelson at dinner.
Oh, I would have loved to be
You'd
a
love
fly
to
on the wall
film
for
that,
that,
baby.
Jeez, that would have been
You
awesome.
know? Yeah, no. But I consider Donald a friend. I respect him very much. But I don't stand with him. I'm anti-war. I want these wars done.
Yeah.
Well, if Hillary and Donald are elected, the wars are going to go on for another 5 to 10
Really,
years.
you think with Trump, do you think he doesn't have some
He
more
has to
dovish?
his ego.
Really?
Because they'll call him soft.
Have you heard sometimes though some dovish tendencies though coming from him during this process,
Absolutely.
like when he drop kicked Jeb Bush in the debates?
Right, but the problem is this. He took Pence.
Yeah.
Pence is the establishment.
Right.
Pence is going to not let him.
He's pandering to the religious nut jobs too.
Not just that, but don't get on George Bush. He's a Republican.
Right.
We have to remain solid and strong. Don't bring up.
But that was one of
what
the
George-
that was one of the
Oh,
best
I was
moments.
cheering.
Yes, during that South Carolina, right before the primary.
was cheering.
He goes, "Excuse me, Jeb. The last time I checked, the towers came down in your brother's watch. That's not safe."
Yeah, exactly. There
Does
you go.
that sound like him pretty good?
Yeah, you
and
got him pretty
I was
good.
like, Chairman, I was like, yes, remind everybody that these criminal Bushes, what they did to our country, and Jeb
Yeah.
will be 10 times worse.
Yep.
So, like, that Trump, I really like and
Yeah,
admire.
but the problem is there's too many Trumps.
yeah.
I don't know which Trump it's going to be.
Who's he going to be on what given day, and how's he going to handle what situation?
And how's he going to handle it? And then as far as Hillary goes, that's business as usual.
Oh, geez, that's
Corporate
War
Hillary-
Inc., that's Big Pharma, that's Wall
Yep,
Street, that's
yep, the
military-industrial
whole thing,
complex.
yep,
It's
the
business
whole
as usual.
thing, and we'll be at war over there forever, keeping us safe. I'd like to know this. Why does America believe that ISIS is going to what? Do a Normandy landing on Virginia?
I know, like they're this huge
You know,
threat.
And why do we need a bigger, more powerful military? We can blow up the world 10 times over. There isn't a country on the planet that can compete with our military right now.
No, never will
And
be.
did you know that we spend more on defense than the other 25 nations combined?
Yes, and most of them are our allies.
And yeah, I think 22 or 3 of them are our allies.
yeah.
Now, why do we spend all this money on defense? No one dare. And when they talk about these bombers and these isolated incidences, that's law enforcement that's got to handle that, not the military.
Yeah.
You know, that's called doing law enforcement work. And, you know, they yell about the guns, like the case of the thing in Orlando.
Yeah, the Pulse nightclub shooting.
Well, I got news for you. That guy, if he didn't have a gun, would have wired himself with demolition and walked in there and blew himself up.
Yeah, did a bombing.
So again, don't blame the gun. The gun requires a human touch.
Yeah.
Like I've always said, I have a gun safe at home. Never have I walked into my house and found them misbehaving.
Walking around.
Never have I heard them going off on their own when I come home.
Yeah.
It requires me to unlock my safe, and it requires an ounce of pressure from my finger to make that work.
Well, that's majority of gun owners in our country, responsible, trained, educated, and smart, not idiots.
Yeah.
You know, the media
Not only
blows it up
that-
and
Not only
sensationalizes.
that, in World War II, Japan was going to invade our west coast, but their big Admiral Yamamoto, his exact quote was, "We can't do this. There's as many guns as there is blades of grass." What he meant was our population was armed, and if we invade the United States, we're not even going to be fighting their military. We're going to be fighting every farmer, every person, because
Everybody.
every house has a gun.
Right.
And they said, you can't invade the United States. Well, and let me finish with this on the gun issue. I was physically in the Philippines the day Ferdinand Marcos became a dictator and declared martial law. The very first thing that dictator did, he gave the Philippine people, I forget, 12 days to 15 days to turn in all their guns or it was the death penalty. Now, why would a dictator make his number one priority the disarming of the people? Because it's the people. The Second Amendment is not there for hunting and fishing. When they wrote that amendment, if you didn't hunt or fish, you didn't eat.
Right.
It's there so that we, the citizens, can stand up to our government if we have to. That we will be armed, in which the government, and then I've had people say, well, we couldn't stand up to the onslaught of the U.S. government. You know what I say to them? I go, well, we dropped more bombs on Vietnam than we did World War II. I said, we threw everything we had at these little rice farmers with a few AK-47s, and we couldn't beat them, could we?
No, they were dug in. They were entrenched, and they had the will
And
to fight.
wouldn't we be entrenched
We
as
would
people?
be 10 times worse.
10
than that.
times, yes. So the point is, a dictator has to disarm the public. So when Hillary Clinton's out there calling for the disarmament of the public, Hillary, you're not a dictator. I need to defend myself against you.
Absolutely.
If you become abusive.
Right. Now, turning to foreign policy, yesterday we saw North Korea with its largest nuclear missiles test ever. They've done 5 of them, and there's a stigma around North Korea that they're the reason things are the way it is, not the posturing of Western powers, not sanctioning them, not punishing them. What do you make of North Korea? And if you were the president, day one, how would you handle North Korea?
What I make of all diplomacy, the idea of not talking to anyone, to me, is asinine.
Yeah.
All these years we wouldn't talk to Cuba.
Right.
All these years we wouldn't talk to Russia. I want to talk to them. I want to talk to Iran. I'd rather talk than have shooting.
Yeah.
If there's a way around war, let's talk. Well, North Korea, this guy with the haircut, whatever, I don't even know his name, the head guy.
Kim Jong-un?
Yeah, whatever. Let's talk to them.
Yeah.
Let's break down the barriers, not create them. And as far as he goes, I really don't believe he will accomplish much because I don't think China will let him.
Well, that's another part of it too. China and Russia are very important.
Well, they let him rattle his sword, but China's in the WTO now.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to let Korea screw it up for them.
Right.
So I think China at the right time will put the kibosh on him. I think, maybe I'm wrong, but to me, instead of isolating and immediately their enemies, I mean, come on, Korea's been separated now from early 1950s. Isn't it about time talks start?
Yeah.
Isn't it about time enough is enough?
Some diplomacy.
And what's the matter with speaking to your enemy? It's better than shooting at them.
Yeah, and I mean, what Dennis Rodman did, I know a lot of people just viewed it as a crazy stunt, but if you watch him in the documentary about that, I think that was an incredible thing. Using sports and goodwill and human interaction. They all got along great. They were hugging each other. And
let me give you an example. I'm embroiled in this federal court case now where they reversed my decision. I'm going back for another trial. The 2 federal judges wrote a 29-page summary of why they reversed it. Not once in those 29 pages did they give me my title of governor. Now, if I went into their courtroom, I would have to call them judge or your honor, or they'd find me in contempt and put me in jail. Yet, when I traveled to Cuba back in 2002 and met Castro, and when I last December when I went to Moscow and I met Putin, guess what? Both of them immediately addressed me as governor with respect. So I got more respect from Putin and Castro than I did Judge Shepard and Judge Riley of the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. I got more respect from Putin and Castro than I did 2 judges whom I pay their salary with my tax dollars.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we were talking about it earlier. You're now working with RT. They do some incredible stuff that our mainstream media will never touch.
Exactly.
And obviously, you're going to have criticism thrown at you that Putin's running the deal and controlling it. What do you say to those critics?
Well, because I can talk from experience. When I met President Putin, he specifically stated he would never interfere with me artistically, and he would never censor me. Now, it's regular TV, and at the time I was doing internet, so occasionally they had to bleep an F-bomb, which you understand why.
That happens.
Yeah, you can understand, but other content, never. Well, they picked up my internet show for 1 year, played it on Friday nights. Never once did they censor me. Never once did they tell me they wouldn't put me on because of content. So when he said that to me, I have to believe him because I'd been dealing with him with my show for a year and it hadn't happened.
Right.
And right now, we're in the process of creating my new show. I'm running into no censorship.
No issues there.
I'm running into no issues on how I want to create and what I want to do with my show. And this blows me away. because I'm a Vietnam veteran and I've lived through the entire Cold War. And I never in my life believed it would be Russia giving me free speech.
Yeah.
My own country blackballs me and won't let me on TV. Fox News won't have me on.
Don't sit during the pledge either, Jesse.
Oh, yeah. Fox News won't have me on. All of these won't ban me.
Yeah.
Why? Because I question things and I ask questions and bring up subjects they don't want to talk
Absolutely.
about. Well, RT lets me talk about them. So who's giving me freedom? The Russians. Plus, there's a personal thing for me here. Not only did I want it on my resume, because it's mind-boggling to me, but my mother and my father are both World War II veterans. Not many people can say their mom is. And my father fought has 6 major bronze battle stars. He had them for Europe. And his last battle was Berlin. And when he was in Berlin, this is one of the things he did talk to me about. He didn't say anything about what he did usually, but he told me of the friendship he made with Russians when they met in Berlin and how wonderful they were. And I, for years, couldn't understand this Cold War that went on for over a half a century. So I wanted to do this and focus the rest of my golden years, if you want to call it that, on trying to make Russia and the United States friends and do whatever I can do to implement that. Because they're capitalists now. So we can't hate them for being communists or socialists because they're capitalists now.
Yeah.
And so why do we hate them so badly, and why are we trying to start a Cold War again? I think it's to support the military-industrial complex and all the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I want to try to do my part to stop that, and so what little I can do, I want to bridge that gap between Russia and the U.S. and hopefully make us friends, and I'm going to have fun with you on this one, which this is internet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. After all, shouldn't we be friends with Russia? They're white people.
Right, exactly.
They're not Mexicans below the border who we want to build walls to stop. This is a whole country of white people. And I say that, now that was a joke. Just so they'll know.
Oh, we got you.
Jesse Ventura, racist.
Right.
But I have to laugh at our, these are white people.
Right. What are we demonizing them for? They're not brown, they're not black.
Yeah, they're
they
not
don't
brown
They don't
or
have
black.
things on their head.
Yeah.
So if Trump gets in there and calls and says, Jesse, be my ambassador to Russia, what do you think, big guy? What do you say? In all seriousness, if
I don't
that's on
know.
the table, would you consider it?
Yes. Yeah, I would.
That'd be pretty freaking cool.
Well,
Ambassador Ventura.
Well, I actually, I sent word to President Barack Obama that I would love to be the ambassador to Cuba.
Yeah.
Having gone down there and met Fidel.
Having
and
relations with
and
Cuba.
met the Cuban people and realized, plus it's my style.
Oh, you can
There's
surf.
surfing,
Yeah.
there's swimming,
Right.
there's palm trees, there's all this stuff I enjoy in Mexico right now. Hell, in fact, I'm right on the same parallel as Savannah.
Yeah.
Pretty close,
Oh,
except
right,
in the Baja.
in the Baja, yeah.
Except in the Baja. So that part would intrigue me greatly.
Right.
And if I were asked, I'm still a patriot. I love my country. And if my president asked me seriously to do something of that magnitude, absolutely I'd give it serious or consideration.
Right. Well, and you know what? Like we said about Trump, how the wild card that he is, man, he probably would not rule out having you on that list.
I don't think the Republicans would allow him.
They wouldn't let him.
No.
So obviously,
Because these two parties do not like me.
I've
beaten
you are
them twice.
Yeah, you are toxic to the parties.
Oh, and I've beaten them twice, and they know
Yeah,
it.
they hate
and
it.
for
They
those
hate it.
people out there that say Gary Johnson can't win,
Right.
well, in Minnesota that year in '98, I was polling 9 to 10% at Labor Day. I was allowed in the debates, and in 60 days, I was the governor of Minnesota.
Boy, it sounds eerily similar to what's happening right now. with
Well,
this
it
race.
goes to show you that the only day that counts is election day.
Right.
And although in this, you know what I hope happens? You want Jesse Ventura's real scenario of reality?
What happens?
Here's what I hope happens. I hope that Gary can win his home state of New Mexico, and I hope he can win a couple others. Then I hope that Hillary and Trump split the electoral votes so nobody reaches the magic number.
So-
We then wouldn't have a president.
Right.
And the Congress would then have to pick the
would go to
president.
Congress, yeah.
Right? But maybe the ultimate 2016 election would do one great thing. If that happens, maybe we'll get rid of the antiquated, outdated electoral system and scrap it.
And go to a popular vote?
And go to a popular vote.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing that'll come out of this election if nobody wins.
Right.
And that alone is enough to vote for Gary Johnson. Give him enough electoral votes so they can't reach the magic number so we can get rid of the electoral system. You know why it was put in, one of the reasons? Why we have the electoral system?
Why is that?
Well, in those days, they couldn't count the votes, so you had to send delegates on horseback to Washington.
Right.
Well, I ask you, when's the last time someone went on horseback to Washington?
Right.
That's why it was put in. The 13 colonies had to send riders and delegates. There wasn't the technology to count the votes and properly
Right.
get a new president. So it was done by the Electoral College. It's outdated. Get rid of it. I mean, think back to 2000. Al Gore beat George Bush by 500,000 votes and didn't win. Only for president. Mayor, Congress, Senate, anything else, the person that gets the most votes wins.
Right.
Except president.
President.
There you can get the most votes and lose.
Lose. Yeah.
Anyone else see anything wrong with that picture? You get the most votes and lose?
Yeah.
How can that be?
Incredible democracy we have here. So
Yeah.
obviously we're 15 years Sunday from 9/11. And your thoughts, the 28 pages came out. I know you've talked a lot about those on your show.
Yep.
You've done great work on 9/11.
Yep.
Where are we on 9/11, Governor?
We still don't know the truth. The 28 pages prove it. Because the 28 pages showed the hijackers were being financed by the Saudis.
Yeah.
Now, since I think 16 of the 19 hijackers were Saudis, not one was an Iraqi, that then begs the second question. We went to war over 9/11. Iraq had nothing to do with it. Why did we invade Iraq, overthrow its government, and occupy them
Right.
when they didn't have anything to do with 9/11?
No involvement.
No involvement. Well, isn't that what Nazis did? And isn't that what communists did years past? Now we've done it. See, George Bush and Dick Cheney destroyed my American dream. And everyone in my family's a veteran, World War II, Vietnam, whatever. I never believed my government, the United States of America, would line up our military at the border of another sovereign nation who hadn't did anything to us, invade that country, overthrow its government, and occupy them. And you notice we won't still take responsibility for that,
Right.
even today. And that's what caused the rise of ISIS.
Well, ISIS is the Bush creation.
Yes, completely. And
Directly
why?
from Brown.
'Cause
Well, we can thank Paul Bremer for ISIS.
Yep. Bremer, Bush, and Cheney had no military experience. They're all chicken hawks.
Yeah.
They didn't know what they were doing, chicken hawks.
Yep.
And you don't go in and disband the army and put them in the unemployment line. If they would have come in and embraced the Iraqi army, kept them intact, kept paying them so they could feed their families, I got news for these 3 idiots. And I'll call them that.
They are idiots.
The army or the military generally always will follow who's ever in charge. Who's ever paying their checks. That's your loyalty.
Yeah.
As long as your checks continue to come, oh, well, I'm not getting it from Saddam, I'm getting it from them, but I can feed my family, okay, I'm loyal to them now. Instead, Bremer turns them all loose, you get total chaos, and they are the essence of ISIS today, is Saddam's old army.
Yeah, that's ISIS.
Yeah, that's ISIS. Yet you notice Hillary and them who voted for the war, Hillary said her most difficult vote was voting to go to war, and that now she realizes it was a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
A little late, Hillary.
Yeah.
Do we want your finger on the button
Right.
when you can make a mistake like that?
Yeah, no.
You know, bogus. Hillary Clinton, I wouldn't support any candidate that voted for the Iraq war.
That's just a total disqualifier.
No candidate.
I mean,
Yep.
the 08 crop, you had Dennis Kucinich. He said, I was not fooled by George Bush.
Yep.
Like Hillary said she was fooled.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
Like Biden and
Yep.
like, you know, all the others who were John Kerry,
Yep.
John Edwards,
Yep.
all your Democrats, you know.
Yep.
So,
So, you know, and again, that is the worst foreign policy decision since LBJ's to go into Vietnam.
Yeah.
And the only thing we're fortunate of, 58,000 of us died in Vietnam. I think we're only at about 10.
With Iraq
U.S.,
and
yeah, with
combined.
U.S., yeah. And yet, getting back to my book, since 9/11, more people have died in Mexico in the war on drugs than have died in Iraq and Afghanistan.
That's about 20,000
combined.
deaths a year on our border.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And let's build a wall on that.
Yeah.
Let's build a big wall on that.
Yeah.
Your other book I wanted to touch on briefly, The Shit Politicians Say. Bring me, what inspired you to write the book, The Shit Politicians Say?
Well, because I thought it'd be funny. And they do say a lot of shit.
It's all bullshit.
And the fun part is when you put it into a book like that, you get a different perspective of it. You read it, and you, huh?
Yeah.
You know, and that's more of a coffee table book where if you get a gathering of friends, you can take 3 or 4 quotes and have talk all night long.
Absolutely.
On those quotes. I mean, I still love the ones off the top of my head. I still love Al Gore. A zebra doesn't lose its spots.
Absolutely.
Well, he's right. He's correct. Zebras don't have spots; they have stripes.
And Anthony Weiner's the gift that keeps giving. You know, with Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter is just it's taking it to a new level.
Donald Rumsfeld said that thing. Well, death has a way of making you not really with war.
Right.
And then the best quote, George Bush, and I'm paraphrasing here, where he said, "Someday, some real smart guy is going to come into this Oval Office and know what and find out what we did."
Yeah.
That sounds like a confession to me.
Yeah, that's some
What
guilt
what
right
what
there.
is that quote talking about?
Yeah.
Some smart person's going to come into the Oval Office and figure out what happened.
Are you talking
here?
about Poppy Bush?
No, this is GW.
W said this?
Said this.
Because Poppy Bush said a similar thing. If the people knew what we were really doing, they would be taking to the streets and chasing us with pitchforks.
Yeah.
If they were really hip to what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the 2 great books, The Marijuana Manifesto and The Shit Politicians Say, just awesome stuff. Now, is there any chance you could be in Expendables 4? I mean, they got all the big names, all the rock stars from the 80s.
Really?
I know you were on Howard Stern talking about it. We would love to see you in the next Expendables.
Well, that's up to you guys to get them to have them make the offer, but I'm kind of blackballed.
From big Hollywood productions?
From everything.
Yeah, just
media in general here. You know, the Chris Kyle thing caused that.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I know obviously they're bringing you back into court, and
Well,
what does that say, a bigger
well,
picture about what's happening in our country?
And what they did, the Kyle people and their lawyers lied.
Yeah.
In the courtroom, they stated that it was stressing the widow and her children out financially, when the truth was, and we knew it, they're not out a penny. A big insurance company paid for it. Any book writer, when you write a book, your book publisher has insurance to cover your libel.
Yeah.
And so, but you're not allowed to say that in court. You cannot bring out that insurance is paying the freight, because insurance lobby made sure of that. Here's why. A jury, if they know insurance is paying, they claim will give out easier awards because everyone's been screwed over by insurance companies. So they lobbied, you can't say that in court. Well, it's up to the discretion of the trial judge. They got up and did what was called, here's the exception, poor mouthing. Stating that all the while your bills are being paid, you tell the jury, oh, this is strapping me financially, which is what Taya Kyle did.
Yeah.
Then what caused the judge to allow it to come in, 2 people from HarperCollins, the book publishing company, testified, trying to downplay my importance, so that if they did get a judgment against them, it would be as low as possible. They had a conflict of interest because they're the ones providing the insurance.
Right.
So federal judge Kyle, he had the same name, ruled we could bring it in on a limited basis. He ruled. You know what it ended up being? 4 questions in an 11-day trial and a half a page of a final summary, of a 20-page final summary. That's all it was. And there was no objection in the trial. No one objected to it in front of the jury, which 76-year rules, including the Supreme Court, say if something happens in closing argument, you must object in front of the jury so that the presiding judge has a chance to rule on it and the jury has a chance to hear the ruling. They did not do that. The jury was dismissed at 11:58. They objected at 12:02. The judge said overruled, and that was the end of it. These 2 judges, Riley and Shepard, then took it upon themselves, they weren't in court, to overturn the ruling over something that was never objected to in court, which goes against a 76-year rule they have. They violated to get me. Then there's a second thing they did. Wait. They overturned unjust enrichment. So they now allow the media to lie about you and profit from it. It would be the equivalent, these two judges, it would be the equivalent of you go rob the bank and you get caught. And they sentence you to 3 years in prison for robbing the bank, but then when you get out, you get to keep the money.
Right.
That's what they're saying. You get to profit from wrongdoing, because why? 34 media conglomerates entered the trial during the appeals. And here's where they violated their own rules. And 3 days after they ruled on me, they ruled the opposite way in another case. And here's the rule. You are not allowed to argue a theory in front of the appeals court that was not argued during the trial. The media conglomerate came in and argued a new theory. Was never argued at the trial, and Judge Shepard and Judge Riley said that's perfectly fine. We'll violate our own rules again. Now, I say these judges are, number one, disrespectful. I state that they're dishonest, because if you're a golfer and you play golf, there's rules to the game of golf, and you can cheat at any time. You can roll your ball over, improve your life, but you're a dishonest golfer then, aren't you?
Yeah, and you have that reputation.
Well, you're a
attached to you.
dishonest golfer.
Yeah.
You know you're dishonest, you're breaking the rules.
Yeah.
And these two judges are dishonest judges. They're incompetent judges, in my opinion, because they can't even follow their own rules. So when Donald Trump came out and said judges are corrupt, the mistake he made, he brought in race. If he didn't bring in race,
don't make it about race.
I would agree with him.
Make it about the institution,
Exactly.
institutional corruption.
If he would have just simply said they're corrupt, I'd have said Donald's right. They are corrupt.
Yeah, he does that
Because
a
to
lot.
me, Judge Shepard and Judge Riley, they don't even follow their own rules. They're disrespectful to me as a governor. If I didn't call them Judge or Your Honor in their courtroom, they'd find me in contempt and put me in jail.
Yeah.
And yet 29 pages they write and never once called me Governor Ventura.
Yeah. Well,
I was just simply Ventura.
Right. Well, that really speaks to the bigger picture thing here. And I mentioned the NFL player who didn't stand during the national anthem. The nationalism and the fear of anybody speaking out and that sort of thing.
Do you know why?
Is stifled. And that's what I wanted to ask.
Here's
why is that, Governor?
Here's why.
And this is our last question.
Here's why. Because people they're in comfort zones. And nobody likes to have their comfort zone disrupted. And now when the government tells you something, people want so much to believe my government won't lie to me.
Right.
So they then hear the government's thing and they get in that comfort zone. Then along comes a Jesse Ventura who says things and shows proof that disrupts their comfort zone. They take a natural then disliking to me. So when people tell you they want the truth, I don't think they really do.
No.
Because the truth takes them out of their comfort zone many times. And they'd rather be in there than have their comfort zone stripped away with the truth.
That says it
And
right
that's
there.
that's the best definition I can give you.
That is how it is. That's just the way it is in America now. You can't criticize the military.
Which is
you
ridiculous.
Can't criticize policy. You're a traitor. You're a terrorist.
Well, and who does that? The people that perpetrate that.
Right. Well, the chicken hawks who
chicken
get it all
hawks,
going. Your Dick Cheneys of the world.
Yep. The chicken hawks, the Cheneys of the world, who want to control everything. You're not a patriot.
Right.
And yet I got 5 deferments from the Vietnam War.
I will not go, but I will gladly send your kids to my resource grab in the Middle East.
Yep, and not only that, I was asked one time, we'll finish with this, I did a right-wing talk show host, Jason Lewis, in Minnesota once. And the question came up about the difficult decision to go to war. And I looked at Lewis and I said, going to war is not a difficult decision. He went nuts. How can you say that? How could you possibly say going to war is not a difficult decision? I said, let me explain. I said, it's not a difficult decision because it's real simple. In my book, a war is justified if you're willing to send your kids. Because if you're not willing to send your kids, how do you send someone else's? And I can assure you, the wars in the Middle East that have taken place, I would have never sent my kids to those wars. So therefore, those wars are unjustified to me. Now, if I took the opposite viewpoint, like Joe Biden, his kid went, well, he obviously supports those wars because he was willing to send his son Bo to fight it.
McCain too.
I have the respect of that. He sent his son.
Right.
I wouldn't have.
No.
And that's how simple it is. Because how can you send someone else's children if you wouldn't send your own?
Absolutely.
That's how simple it is. That's how you determine if you'd go to war. And this stuff in the Middle East, I would have never sent my son to go, or my daughter, to go over there. No way.
Well, the two new books, Jesse Ventura's Marijuana Manifesto, The Shit Politicians Say. Governor Ventura, has been an absolute honor.
Thank you. My
Thanks
pleasure.
for sitting
My
down
pleasure.
with me.
And it's great to go on uncensored types of media.
Say shit, it feels good.
Well, not just even that. It isn't even being able to swear. It's that you're given the opportunity to expand and talk about your beliefs, and it's not soundbite.
Yeah.
Mainstream media today, all soundbite.
Oh yeah, garbage.
Totally soundbite.
Well, thank you for tuning in, folks. Jackman Radio, have a great day.
War then becomes a popular thing. You're a hero if you go to war.
Governor, this is the creator of Loose Change, Dylan Avery.
Nice to finally meet you.
You are?
Yeah, that's me.
I'm very honored to meet you.
Very honored to meet you.
But I have to say to you, you caused me a lot of fucking trouble. No, because
me too.
I accepted it when it happened. I went on military mode. I was the governor. And I felt, the military took over in my head. Nowadays, my country's been attacked.
Yeah, guys, we gotta wrap it here. Governor,
So what took place was my son kept coming home and telling me, Dad, you gotta watch this thing called Loose Change. Dad, you gotta watch this. So one Sunday afternoon, there was nothing to do. My wife brought it up on the computer and she and I watched it. And when I watched it, I'll tell you this honestly, and this isn't funny, I went through every emotion you could imagine. Every emotion. Because as I watched it, I went, you gotta be shitting me. You gotta be kidding me. And it was at that point in time I began questioning 9/11. And my life has been hell since I questioned 9/11.
Mine too, for
I'm surviving.
Yeah.
But it caused me a lot of hell. So that's why I wanted you to get credit for it. But on the same token, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
Because you opened my eyes up that wouldn't have been open had I not seen that.
It's nice to meet you,
And
Jesse.
since then, I've talked to Sergeant April Gallup, who was in
yeah.
the Pentagon.
I met April.
And said nothing hit it. No plane hit there.
Just an explosion when she hit her keyboard.
Exactly. You talked to her.
Nice to meet you, Jesse.